This is Jeff Mucci, RCR Wireless News. We're here in Palo Alto meeting with Craig Niemeyer, CEO of Nth Air. Craig, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We met for the first time in December back at the WiMAX Forum, and RCR had interviewed you in the past. Today what I'd like to do is really get to know you and the company a little bit better. So
Sure.
Let's start with when the company was founded, what your vision for the company was then, and maybe what your vision for the company is today.
So the company was founded in 2005, but it really came out of the BWA meeting that I had gone to in 2004, and I caught the bug. WiMAX seemed like the panacea. So I wanted to start a company that I would actually buy service from, and I wanted to use a technology that would be disruptive, but kind of level the playing field, and WiMAX was the promise of that. So we formed in 2005, and we started off selling B2B, and we've done a couple events. We've done the Academy Awards, the Democratic National Convention, YouTube Live. So we've done a lot of point-to-point, large-scale stuff, but ultimately our goal was to provide I won't say ubiquitous coverage, but an opportunity-driven coverage area that allowed us to be disruptive and provide service here in Palo Alto and be competitive to the delivery of 3 megs, 45 megs. Give something that was more than the standard response that telcos give today.
And your first customer was a school district. Can you tell us a little bit more about that installation?
Sure. You imagine a bunch of guys in a pickup truck who think wireless is cool but don't know a lot. We drove off to a place in Calaveras County, and we put in 10 links of 100 meg connections, about a week and a half install work, and it's actually still up and running several years later. It was a good learning experience. I think it covers about 27 square miles, and it links all the schools together and allows them to do VoIP and a bunch of other stuff. So it was a pretty cool application for our first app.
Point to point?
Yep, point to point. It could morph to something better and bigger in the future, but right now it's 100 meg throughput on each of the links.
Licensed or unlicensed spectrum?
It's actually licensed spectrum.
Okay. And today, what's your distribution model today?
Well, we've gone from a point-to-point, basically B2B applications to basically a carrier-to-carrier. I like to call us the Wiltel of wireless. So we're actually providing service, underlying service for other carriers. One of our carriers is focused on residential, another one's focused on B2B, and then the last one's on content providing, VoIP, and some digital media. And so our customers are now the carriers as opposed to the end users in the past, and which has kind of changed our volume, right? It changed our needs and has allowed us to, focus in California, Florida, Texas here in this latest launch. So it's been exciting and interesting to change over to that type of model.
Do you build the networks and then sell them to the carriers, or do you build them and then lease the network to the carriers?
Today, what we do is we build the network, we retain it, and they're using our network to provide services to the customers. We're not against actually selling it to the carrier, but it actually has more value for us to build it for them to use, and then we also can use it. We actually bring all of our carriers to the area, so we kind of cover the whole gambit on what are the services that could be provided.
Tell me about the Transio press release. Why you selected them, what spectrum you're operating in.
Okay, so we've, like I mentioned, we've been around for a while. We've used a lot of different vendors, and Transio has a really great product set when it comes to point-to-point. They're basically industrial, less than a trained monkey can hang the gear, and so we've liked the gear. It's robust, takes weather, takes elements, takes they probably don't want me to say this. You can drop the stuff and it still works. So when they came into the 365 spectrum and provided a Pico station at a price point that made sense, we would be remiss to not try it. And once we tried it, we decided we liked it very much. And it allows us to scale. It's a fraction of the cost of the competition. It's just good gear all the way around. They have the ability to provide, an abundant number of CPEs. You still have to go through customs, but U.S. Canadian customs, a little easier, a little faster. It's just good gear.
Okay. Is it point-to-point?
It's point to multi-point WiMAX. It's truly a WiMAX product, which allows us to, to do what we initially back in 2004, 2005 saw as the solution. I mean, it's taken a couple of years to get there, but the 365 gear is caught up.
What types of end-user devices operate on the Transio equipment?
I wish I'd brought some to show you. So they've got an indoor and an outdoor unit, CPE. The indoor unit is about this big, metal case, little 5 dB antenna on it.
Right.
Industrial, runs on PoE. It's just a great piece of gear. And then the outdoor unit's not much bigger, and it's very similar to the form factor of all of their gear. It's weatherproofed, and it has the same look and feel. So it's basically an indoor and an outdoor, and they might be mad if I say this, but they've got some other stuff in the lab and in the warehouse that will be coming that leads to 802.11 integration and some other stuff. So there's some neat products coming now. We're not sitting at the dongle stage, USB dongle stage, but that has more to do with the fact that 365 isn't, everywhere yet. It's not, we're not there yet, but we will be.
Could you talk a little bit about your view on WiMAX and LTE?
You're going to put me on the spot. Well, I mean, WiMAX is a broadband play, and LTE, in my mind, is truly a cellular play. Yeah, you can get broadband services, you can get data services on it, but it's related to the cellular market. WiMAX, originally designed to be cell backhaul, isn't really, it's not being adopted for that. It's being used as, especially how we use it, it's being used as a broadband play. So they're not the same. They're, in fact, I just read something, I think it was in your magazine, about the fact that this is kind of the IP, this is an interplay between, IP. WiMAX allows you to actually do the broadband, and the LTE allows you to do the cellular. They can coexist. They will, actually, maybe this is the beta VHS conversation. I don't know.
Right.
But it doesn't matter as long as we're able to provide services to the end user. Every time I go to these shows and I watch the battle go back and forth, it's kind of like, this seems like GSM and CDMA conversation. They coexist. I don't really, it's a lot of wasted time, I think.
How are you funding operations today?
I was going to hit you up afterwards, Jeff. But basically we're, I would say self-funded, friends, family, former friends. We are not a VC-backed firm. We build, as the opportunity dictates, and, we grow from that. Some years are better than others. Last year was brutal. But, we're here and we're still fighting. We're still, one of the few independents. I could name a couple others, but, we're here and we're enjoying enjoying being in the marketplace.
What types of partnerships have you structured to help you grow your business?
Well, one of the significant ones is we have a relationship with BCI, and as you're familiar, they build out infrastructure. So that allows us to scale and have the ability to do that. Previously, we had a relationship or have a relationship with a company called Devera, and they allow us to get access to, going back to the funds question, get access to some of the money sooner than we would. So they've been very helpful in allowing us to survive last year and to grow and come out in 2010 with a pretty aggressive plan. So, and take that the same way as I can go to all these independents, and we've got collaborative arrangements with folks like Keon and, an understanding with other 365 players to be helpful, to roam, there's enough competition out there with the big players, so those kinds of relationships.
What do you see as the end game for Niemeyer?
I don't believe there's an end game. When we actually control the underlying fabric that runs the internet, call that the end game. That's pretty big as a goal. My goal is to be disruptive, to help make the price points, lower, the customer service better. Stuff that I would buy, that you would want to buy, we like that to be universal. Someday I'd like my watch to be my computer and have connectivity. There's a huge. I could go on and on. I'm a sci-fi buff, so I could go on and on about what I'd like to see. Ultimately, I'd like to see broadband wherever it needs to be, and I'm not one of those people that know. I don't profess to know where it needs to be. So if somebody says they need it, hanging off the back 40, then we'll deliver it. If they need it, 10 megs on the rooftop, great, we'll deliver it. So I'm not sure what the end game is yet.
The big events that you have done, what have been the aha moments of providing broadband wireless at those events?
Well, I just had an aha in retrospect over the Google YouTube Live event, which was 2008. My wife sent me a link to a YouTube Live gal, and I was checking it out, and it turns out we provided the band. She's wonderful. I won't plug her, but we provided the bandwidth that allowed her to get out to the internet. She's now recorded CDs, toured, and done all these things. And so the aha event for me is enabling the access to digital media. I didn't even know we did it. Right? I just know we provide the bandwidth. I didn't know the particulars, and it brought it home that I've affected this woman's life. She's a college student.
That's great.
Right. So that's an aha moment for me.
Good. Well, Craig, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.